They say in politics, perception can be just as powerful as policy. And in the age of social media, a few seconds of video can dominate headlines across the world. Tonight, a brief moment captured during the launch of President Donald Trump's newly announced Board of Peace has gone viral, sparking intense debate about leadership, stamina, and the optics of power on the global stage. During what was meant to be a high-profile diplomatic event focused on international conflict resolution and reconstruction efforts, cameras recorded President Donald Trump seated on stage as another speaker addressed the audience. In the now viral clip, the president appears with his eyes closed for several seconds. His posture seems relaxed, his head slightly lowered, and the moment, brief though it was, quickly ignited online speculation that he may have dozed off during the proceedings. Within minutes of the clip surfacing on social media platforms, it began circulating rapidly. Hashtags began trending. Political commentators weighed in. Supporters and critics alike shared their interpretations. Some described the moment as harmless, a pause, a blink, a moment of reflection. Others labeled it troubling, suggesting it reflected fatigue or raised concerns about energy levels and fitness for office. The event itself was designed to be a significant diplomatic milestone. The Board of Peace, as introduced by President Trump, is intended to function as an international advisory and coordination body focused on stabilizing conflict regions and advancing reconstruction efforts, including initiatives related to ongoing tensions in the Middle East. Representatives from multiple countries attended the launch in Washington, D.C., along with diplomats, policy experts, and members of the press. President Trump delivered opening remarks outlining his administration's commitment to conflict resolution and economic stabilization efforts. He spoke about strengthening alliances, rebuilding damaged regions, and promoting what he described as a new chapter of pragmatic peace diplomacy. After his speech, other officials and international representatives took the stage to elaborate on funding frameworks, security cooperation, and implementation timelines. It was during one of these extended speeches that cameras focused on the president seated behind the podium area. In the footage that would later dominate social feeds, his eyes appear closed for roughly 10 to 15 seconds. When applause breaks out moments later, he is seen opening his eyes and joining in the applause, though some viewers interpreted a slight delay. Critics were quick to respond. Political opponents argued that the visual was damaging, particularly given the president's age and the global visibility of the event. Online posts suggested that such imagery could undermine confidence among allies and adversaries alike. Some commentators framed the moment within a broader discussion about age in political leadership, noting that the demands of the presidency are physically and mentally rigorous. Others went further, using the clip as a rhetorical tool to question stamina and attentiveness. Political analysts on television panels debated whether the viral moment would have lasting political consequences or fade as quickly as many online controversies do. Some argued that optics matter deeply in diplomacy, where body language can be interpreted as symbolic. Supporters of the president pushed back just as strongly. They argued that a short clip lacks context and that closing one's eyes briefly during a long event does not necessarily indicate sleep. Several pointed out that the event spanned multiple hours under bright lights and with dense policy discussion, circumstances that can cause anyone to rest their eyes momentarily. They emphasized that the president had already delivered his address and remained present for the remainder of the session. The White House response was measured. Officials underscored the substance of the meeting rather than the viral distraction. They highlighted funding commitments announced during the event and reiterated that President Trump maintains a demanding schedule filled with travel, policy briefings, and international calls. The administration characterized the social media reaction as an example of how brief moments can overshadow significant diplomatic progress. International reaction varied. Some foreign media outlets focused primarily on the peace initiative itself, detailing proposed funding allocations and diplomatic coordination mechanisms. Others referenced the viral clip as part of broader reporting on the event. Analysts in Europe discussed how visual impressions can influence public trust in leadership. Commentators in Asia emphasized the importance of distinguishing between perception and verified fact. The viral moment has also reignited a wider conversation in the United States about age and leadership in modern politics. In recent years, voters across party lines have expressed concern about the age of top political figures. Moments that appear to show fatigue, whether during speeches, debates, or public ceremonies, tend to attract disproportionate attention in the digital era. Medical experts interviewed by various networks cautioned against drawing conclusions from a short video clip. They noted that fatigue can stem from travel schedules, late-night briefings, jet lag, or simply long formal events. Closing one's eyes briefly does not necessarily mean someone has fallen asleep. At the same time, transparency about leaders' health has long been a subject of public interest. Political communication specialists argue that the real story may not be whether the president briefly rested his eyes, but how the clip spread so rapidly and shaped narrative. In today's hyper-connected media environment, short visual moments can eclipse hours of substantive policy discussion. Algorithms amplify what provokes reaction, and reaction often favors dramatic interpretation over nuance. The Board of Peace initiative itself includes plans for multilateral funding coordination, oversight mechanisms, and diplomatic engagement in conflict zones. According to officials, the initiative aims to bring together allied nations and regional stakeholders to create long-term stabilization strategies. The administration emphasized that reconstruction efforts, economic revitalization, and security partnerships are central pillars of the program. However, for many viewers, those policy details were overshadowed by the viral imagery. Memes appeared within hours. Late-night comedy shows referenced the clip. Opinion pieces debated whether such moments truly matter or simply reflect the intensity of modern political scrutiny. Some analysts argue that viral episodes rarely have lasting impact unless they reinforce pre-existing narratives. If voters already question stamina or age, a clip like this may strengthen those perceptions. If they view such concerns as exaggerated, they may dismiss the moment as trivial. Political historians note that leaders throughout history have faced moments captured out of context, from awkward pauses to facial expressions frozen mid-sentence. In previous eras, such incidents might have faded quietly. Today, high-definition cameras and instant social sharing ensure that no moment goes unnoticed. Supporters also point out that President Trump has maintained a schedule involving campaign events, international negotiations, policy briefings, and public appearances. They argue that focusing on a brief video fragment ignores the broader record of activity. Critics counter that global leadership demands constant alertness, especially during high-profile diplomatic events. The broader question may center less on one individual and more on the evolving standards of political visibility. Leaders are now filmed continuously, often from multiple angles. Minor gestures can be interpreted, analyzed, and debated worldwide within minutes. Meanwhile, the substantive goals of the Board of Peace continue moving forward. Diplomatic teams are expected to meet again in the coming weeks to discuss implementation timelines and oversight structures. Funding pledges announced during the launch are undergoing procedural review and coordination with international partners. As the viral clip continues circulating, the public conversation reflects a deeper tension between optics and policy. Does a fleeting moment define leadership? Or should evaluation focus on decisions, outcomes, and sustained performance? Ultimately, the episode illustrates the power of perception in modern governance. A few seconds of footage have sparked days of debate. Some see it as evidence of fatigue. Others see it as political theater amplified by social media dynamics. What remains clear is that in today's media landscape, every public moment carries potential global consequence. The line between personal gesture and political symbolism has grown increasingly thin. Whether the viral clip fades into the long archive of internet controversies or continues influencing public opinion may depend less on the video itself and more on how leaders respond, how media frames the narrative, and how voters interpret what they see. In the end, leadership is measured not by a single image, but by sustained action, policy impact, and the confidence of the public. Yet in the digital era, even the briefest pause can become a headline, and every headline shapes the ongoing story of power, perception, and politics in America.